2, 3, 4.
We are Movie Menu Reviews, your D&D of podcasting. On today's menu, we will be reviewing Pixar's Onward. Welcome, ladies and gents. I'm Dan the Man Muñoz, host of Movie Menu Reviews, your weekly movie news and reviews podcast, live on Facebook. If you're watching us on Facebook, we want to say thank you so much. Or if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to your podcast, we appreciate it as well. Thank you so much.
Did you mention last week that you have a new phone to make us look all clean and fancy?
I don't think I did, but I do. I'm sure if you're watching us live, you can see how crisp and clear.
We are now in 4K.
And wrinkly we are.
Yeah.
But someone who is not wrinkly at all is our special guest, world traveler, awesome Pixar animator expert is our guest, Vasthi Leaf.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you so much for being here. Every time we review a Pixar film, I know you have so much to say, and I always listen to you. So
and
I want
only you, not us at all.
No, I'm like, Vasthi, you're like my guru when it comes to Pixar films. So I'm excited I did not watch the film, so I'm excited to hear what you have to say about it.
But not us, right?
Who are you guys?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me back. I always have fun when I'm on here.
And and you just came back from a trip to Disney World.
Yes.
You want to briefly talk about how that experience was?
Just briefly, yeah. I ran the Princess Half Marathon along with Christina and her sister Yvette.
Which are also great friends of the show.
Yeah.
Hi, Christina and Yvette.
Hey.
Did you cosplay?
I did. Every single day.
What did you run?
Because I love your cosplay as Rey. When you cosplay as
when
Rey
I did the Star Wars
one.
marathon. Yeah.
Wait. So what did you cosplay as a runner this time?
Princess Jasmine, because it was the Princess Half Marathon.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, right on.
But you said like every day you cosplay. What was your other cosplay?
Yeah, so for Hollywood Studios, where they have the Indiana Jones stunt show, I did Indiana Jones.
Nice.
For Magic Kingdom, I did Belle, Provincial Belle, with the blue reader.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Not the gold dress.
No, I've never really liked the gold dress. I'm not gonna lie there. For Epcot, I did Remy Ratatouille.
Oh yeah,
nice.
Yeah, because he eats everything.
Easy enough. Yeah, it's a really good one.
That is a really good one. Also joining. Oh, go on.
No, I'm sorry.
Well, also joining us are our cosplayers of Mike Stand and Z.
Yes, I cosplay as a human.
Do you though?
I try.
Do you though?
Shapeshift is different than cosplay.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right, so there is a lot of news to cover this week that we will go ahead and start discussing.
Yes.
First up, we want to talk about the fact that No Time to Die was delayed until November because of the coronavirus. What do you guys think about the whole James Bond 007 film that was supposed to be out next month, which was my most anticipated film.
I was going to say, I feel like you should answer this question because you really wanted to see this movie.
Is now moved to November.
It's a really long time.
It's a really long time.
Yeah. Well, and let's
They have like no faith at all. The fact that they just moved it like way in November. What do you guys think?
I think it's an irrational response. I feel like that was like if it was during these months, like right now in this month where we're currently in that state of panic, I think it would make sense. But I think April. Now the reason why from the article that you sent us was because the fandom, right? The fandom had asked for it to be moved. So it was actually a website that was like a James Bond website that's been around for at least like.
Well, it's also the producers, the Broccoli family, which. I mean, they own the rights to James Bond.
Yeah. Well, and they want it to succeed, right? Like, if you look at the numbers for Onward, did it succeed? And I think that James Bond, it finishing the Daniel Craig run, you really have to question whether or not it's financially viable to release it during this time or push it back or release it on VOD if that's a better option.
Vasthi, would you still have gone to this film when it came out, even if you were traveling abroad?
I think I would have, but I also understand maybe just trying to secure. Holidays are always a popular time to go to the movies. If you're gonna guarantee a time when not only this might finally have blown over by then, but to guarantee a time when people do go to the movies historically. I think Thanksgiving, Christmas, I think that's a safe bet. I think it's safe.
That's true. That is a good perspective of that also. And they were projected to lose at least like $50 plus million. On this. Because even though North America is such a high
population. We have a high population, high finances.
Where a lot,
but
they make
China,
but China is another
hand,
huge one as well.
Yeah.
It's even so much where some films like placate more to China than they do the U.S.
Yep.
Or North America, I should say. So for them to move it, I guess it was a smart financial reason because people have more pressy matters to worry about than watching a movie in theaters.
Yeah. Well, when you look at just the way that China has responded, and again, we're not a political or an infectious disease podcast. Although, hey, welcome. But yeah, like people are being quarantined in China, so people are not able to go to the movie theaters. Theaters in China have been shut down. There's this amazing picture of a Japanese stand for Mulan. Completely empty with the people who are vendors there with face masks on, and that just tells you the level of gravity that you're looking at for why people are not going to the movie theaters. And I don't know about your experiences in watching this movie, the one we're going to review today, Onward, but the movie theater was empty. The seats the theater had initially been sold out, and it was half filled. So people are actually staying home, which means the theaters are losing money. The movies are not making as much money. So I think financially it makes sense to start pulling movies back, or at the very least, like I said, find alternative options to this problem. Like if you want this movie to make money, release it in a different format. You don't have to go to a theater anymore to enjoy a theatrical release.
It still would be a loss of funds.
Oh, absolutely. But what if, and let me just postulate to you guys, what if Disney Plus offered to you guys to watch Onward on your Disney Plus app on your big screen for like $4? Would you do it?
Personally, I've always been a theater enthusiast.
Yeah.
So I actually pay, I just paid, a couple weeks ago, to watch 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea at the El Capitan, even though it's on.
You do, like, yeah, that's right.
Even though it's on Disney Plus, I want the theater experience. So
right.
people like me,
which is great. That's such I feel like though that's such a nice. Because you can watch it at home, but there is a thing to talk about watching in theaters.
Oh, agreed.
That experience,
Well, especially
and something like James Bond, like something large scale.
James
I do
Bond,
want
but
to.
it's also his last film.
Yeah, Daniel Craig's. Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, like for the most population of people, like I agree. Like I love going to the movie theater because this cell phone goes away as soon as you walk into that theater.
Yeah, it's instructionless in the sense.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be very mindful when you're watching a movie because you're detached from your cell phone, which I love. But if and you have to remember the film industry is an industry that makes money, lives and dies off of money. And if you need to find alternative solutions to the problem, then figure them out. But what it's looking like, and I know we have another article that we're going to talk about, what it's looking like is they're going to shut down movie theaters or at least reduce the amount of screenings being shown. So because the movie theaters are paying for the ushers, for the people who are the vendors, all those people, and they're not working. They're just hanging out there. I saw them just hanging out there. I was like, oh, this sucks. So are we looking at potentially the movie theaters being shut down just to reduce the infection moving forward? Right.
Yeah. Well, before we move forward with that, we have a couple of comments already.
All right.
Early in the show.
Great.
We have Christina McLaughlin. Christina! Hey.
We were just talking about her.
She says hi. Okay. And then we have Johnny Felix. What's up, Johnny? He says Z is a horrible human because he's a sorry. Yeah. Z is a horrible human cosplayer.
Oh, okay.
I agree.
Yeah. Wait, who is that again?
Johnny.
Who?
Johnny.
Who?
Hi, Johnny.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's my point.
Hey, Johnny. I know Johnny.
Okay.
And Sean Aguirre says he loved Onward. Well, that's good, but we're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
But that's good. I'm glad he liked it. So also, something that people don't like is the fact that South by Southwest was canceled.
Yep.
and they are going to lose so much money. But do you think this is the right decision to make, canceling South by Southwest with such a huge film festival that happens between March 13th to March 22nd? It's not only just films; it's music festival as well. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like this is the smart move for them? Because literally their festival is the same time every year, so it's not like they could move that like they did James Bond. Yep. They would have to wait till next year to do it. Was this a smart choice to make?
Yes. Just because even if you have vendors who are going to want to, like, and we were talking about this before we started recording, like, are you looking at Comic-Con also being canceled this year? And I think the answer to that should be yes. The amount of people who go, and we're not just talking about like regular, teens or like mid-20s, people who are usually the population, but you're talking about kids. Listen, we're in a state of not an emergency, but if we're
technically we are in California.
You're right, we are.
Governor
Newsom, but like if you are if you are bundled in together as you are in China, as you are in Korea,
even here in LA.
Yeah, well, not as much as in LA because we all drive our own cars, but like. That's why we have such terrible traffic. But like you're talking about a convention in which you're like all stacked in together. Yeah, that disease is going to spread pretty fast. And it just makes sense to me. Like, I don't know. Vasthi, would you go to a convention knowing that this was probably a thing that's going to happen there?
Yes.
No, I mean, even without pandemics and something like this happening, just traveling. I do feel for the travelers, everyone that had their flights, their hotels booked. I do feel bad for them. However, it's always a risk when you pick a destination to either run or watch a concert or X, Y, and Z. It's always a risk, and it's just part of it when you decide to travel somewhere.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think I personally, if I would have had tickets to South by Southwest, it would be a bummer, but I would understand. Yeah, and I think more things. I'm surprised that the LA Marathon went through today. That it wasn't canceled, and they were welcoming the Tokyo Marathon runners that was canceled prior to this. So I'm a little baffled at the response. I'm not stocking up hand sanitizer and toilet paper or anything like that.
Water,
but
we have little waters because we don't have any waters.
I do believe this is an enough of a threat, but. I went to see Onward today. I'm taking my own precautions, so
Well, and also as just
thank you for doing. You're sacrificing your life for us. Can you say the same, people?
Well, I think cautionary, right? Like, hey, guys who love movies like we do, right? Don't go to the movie theater if you're sick. Just stay home. Like, it's okay to just skip this week if you can't go watch a movie. The same thing applies to kids. If you have kids, and this is a movie for kids, and especially if a kid goes to like a school or a daycare, you know that those kids are going to get the COVID-19 really fast. Stay home, relax, chill out. Like let your body heal up a little bit, then go back to the movies. But don't ruin the experience for all of us. It was really funny how many people were coughing in the movie theater when I was watching it, and then all the stares we gave them. But it just
don't do that though.
No, of course not. I don't think you should.
Just because you have a cough doesn't mean that you have the coronavirus.
No, of course not. You're gonna have something that's more dangerous, like the flu. But whatever. We're a
like
panic-stricken
else.
Yeah, like guys, like it's a 2% mortality rate. Calm down.
We have a couple more comments.
Okay.
Shana Guerra realized that we were not in that section yet. He said, "Oh yeah, sorry." Johnny Felix also says, "Waves hi everyone except for Z."
Yeah. I've got a finger for you there, buddy.
All right. So, speaking of things that were not expected, a new trailer popped out this week for the highly anticipated film. I think it was pushed back twice this time.
Yep.
Because it was supposed to come out last year. Yeah. Is last year August. Is Artemis Fowl, Disney's Artemis Fowl. I have not read the books.
Yes.
It was based on published novel series.
Yep.
What did you guys think about the trailer itself for Artemis Fowl?
I'll let you guys go first.
I don't know anything about the series, and I had no interest. I didn't. To me, it seemed
overhyped?
No, overstimulating for me visually. It kind of reminded me of the last Nutcracker movie.
That's a good good comparison.
For me, it also reminded me of like Shark Boy and Lava Girl. like that type of CGI style.
Yeah. It was. Well, when we were watching it again, it was like it really does look like early Harry Potter CGI. It's not very well developed.
Which, they had made so much buzz for this film coming out.
Well,
they even pushed it back because they wanted to work on the special effects even more. It was supposed to come out last year in August.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be one of the films that we reviewed last year. And when they pushed it back to 2020, it was so they can work on the special effects and make the film a lot better. But seeing it now, and it was directed by Kenneth Branagh, so it's like they have like a higher caliber director for this film. But it just doesn't seem like it's still not ready for the public.
Well, it seems like, and this is from a book fan. I have read the books up to book 5 or 6. I forget where I stopped because there's a lot of them. It looks like they are treating this like they've treated a lot of other materials, other book novels. Instead of being a Harry Potter version where they're continuing a long period story, they're wrapping up the whole series into one movie. And to me, that screams of desperation. That tells me that they had a concept, they were going to work on something, and they had to rush through it. And even at that,
they're doing the Airbender, basically.
Yeah. They're doing an Airbender, and they're not doing a very good job of it because the Artemis Fowl stories, while they're little like for kids, but they're still fun to read and they're fun to just like enjoy. This movie looks like it's just jumbling up a huge mess. The subreddit, I went on the Artemis Fowl subreddit after the trailer came out. Just shut up! Don't even tell me. But I wanted to hear the fans' opinions on this because I saw it and I was like, I'm a moderate fan, but I'm not a hardcore fan. And I went out to the hardcore fans, subreddits, and sure enough, they were like, "This looks like it's gonna be shit."
No, there was a lot of backlash for this. From what at least I've never read the books. I've only know about this film because
you can't go back and reshoot any of these things anymore,
right? Because it's way past the time.
A Wrinkle in Time. That's the other one that it kind of reminded me of, where I don't know. With
the only thing is, though, I enjoyed Wrinkle in Time, but but go on, it's fine.
Oh no. The other thing, just kind of on the same subject of Disney and book adaptations.
Yeah.
This is going way back, but I've never really gravitated towards those types of films. I've never actually Around the World in 80 Days is one of my favorite books of all time. Mm-hmm. I've never seen the Disney ad. I just don't have faith that they adapted it well.
Right, yeah.
And they did it. Like from what I've
which is
read,
so weird because they own Marvel, which is based on a lot of comic books,
right?
And though the film itself is not like an adaptation, it kind of isn't small.
It is. Yeah,
small.
Civil War was a pretty decent adaptation,
right? It was, but it's amazing how they could be in the same company in itself, but when it comes to novels, they are not killing it.
Hint, hint. Disney and Star Wars, like that's the same issue that's going on. I think that they're not talking to each other. I think they're and I mean rightly so, right? Like even Pixar is a different department within the Disney studios. But I think there's no collaboration overall. Like Kevin Feige had to be asked to join the Star Wars cinematic universe because they were just so like, we don't know what we're doing because clearly, the Kathleen Kennedy doesn't really know where to put her chips on. And I think that, I think with this movie, you're right. It just looks like it's like a completely sophomoric representation of the books, and they're not going to do the job right.
Well, I mean, the film is already in the capsule. It comes out in a couple weeks. We will see if this film is worth talking about or not. But the thing is, we hope Disney itself, when they come to adapting novels, Bob Iger stepped down, as we all know. And they got the new CEO of Disney, Bob Chapek. I believe that's how I pronounce his name. We'll see if he does anything moving forward because it seems like they are not able to adapt novels greatly.
Yeah.
This one seems to be just going to fall to the wayside. Let's see moving forward if they do anything to improve that.
I doubt it.
Do you guys have faith?
It would be nice to be able to think kind of like where Pixar has a couple of duds, but for the overall they have strong films. They don't have that reputation with the novel adaptations.
Yeah,
I feel they have that one was really good, but for the most part, they're disappointments.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that this is a problem that Disney's had since Mary Poppins, where they can't really adapt things correctly because they're so focused on the audience and less on the material. Now, that's not to say that Mary Poppins wasn't a great movie. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that they're willing to sacrifice good plot for audience. And I don't think that replacing the CEO of Disney is going to make a difference.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
And on that note,
yes,
let's go ahead and move on to what you all are here for. The review of the upcoming film.
Oh, is that what we're here for?
Well, that's why I'm here. So,
okay.
Because I have not seen this film. So, depending on your spoiler-free review, I would decide this movie is worth watching in theaters, take out, watch at home, or leftovers. Go ahead and go on a evil quest and get eaten by a dragon, because I'm assuming that's what happens. Because the movie we're reviewing is Onward, directed by Dan Scanlon, written by Dan Scanlon, Jason Headley, and Keith Bunin. Bunin? Sure.
Bunin.
Here's the plot. Set in a suburban fantasy world, two teenage elf brothers embark on a quest to discover if there is still magic out there. Starring the voices of Tom Holland, Chris Pratt, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Octavia Spencer, and Mel Rodriguez, who is a friend of mine, by the way.
Oh, cool.
He's an awesome, hilarious guy. So go ahead, and I did not see this film, so I will decide, guys. So make this a good argument, or debate, I should say. Vasthi, as our special guest, you have the option to earn a point for your review if you win, if you're able to sway me in your direction. And if you earn up to 10 points, you could trade them in for a segment of your choosing that's movie-related, anything you want to do, even if it's like making us watch anything you want us to watch, we will do it. Or you could cash it in and Z will buy you whatever you want for food. King Torta.
I will not. I will definitely not.
Or horchata or whatever. Anything from King Torta.
I will be taking the money from Dan's wallet.
On that note, let's go ahead and rate this film. Vasthi, as a special guest, you can go first.
Can you give me the 3?
Dine in, watch in theaters, take out, wait and watch it at home, or leftovers, fight a dragon and get eaten by it to avoid watching this film.
Ooh. This is like a little difficult. I'm going to say takeout.
Oh.
Not for the reason that it's typically given.
Interesting.
I cried so much that
Really?
I would have been more comfortable seeing it at home.
Yeah, all right.
Interesting.
I can see that. I can see that.
Interesting.
So it's a no. Then
that would be a
But-
dine-in.
but-
I think
That is a
categorically
dine-in.
would be-
That does sound very appealing, like something you should go watch.
The tears cleanse the virus, by the way, so it's totally no.
I think the subject matter is so heavy.
It is
that I'm gonna have to stick with the takeout.
interesting.
Even though it's a dine-in behind that.
Behind that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I can't wait to go back onto that point.
Yeah.
Z.
Yeah, I think I'm with Vasthi. I think that the topic that's being covered in this movie is very interesting, and it really does dive deep into the emotional core. I think that's its best parts of this movie, but for me, it was a takeout because I honestly felt like it moved, but it moved so slow for me that I was bored for most of this movie up until like the emotional moments where like little things happen. Like the quest stuff for me was like, this feels like it was written by a 12-year-old. And it's not interesting at all. But then when it got to the emotional stuff, I was like, oh, that's some good stuff right there. And I really enjoyed those moments. But everything else, I could have, like, it was like TLDR. It was too long. Didn't want to read it. But I enjoyed the emotional moments.
Okay. And just in case you listeners forgot, Mike, who's here.
Yes, he's hanging out in the background.
I am here.
Mike, what did you
Wait,
think?
I'm here?
Did I cut him out of the frame again?
No, it's just Mike's been very quiet this whole. I don't think you even talked about anything in the beginning of the segment.
He has no opinion
Do
about
you
these
want?
things.
Do you want? First of all, before we continue, do you want to talk about the whole
coronavirus?
Artemis Fowl trailer, like anything? Because
No.
I realized we didn't talk to you at all.
That's okay.
I've been focused on this side of the
this side
table.
over here, yeah.
I did not look at you.
I'm used to it. No, you don't respond to my texts either.
That's true. Speaking of which, we do have a comment from Eric Watkins. Hey, Eric.
Hey.
He's like, movie menu with like
Yeah.
a bunch of exclamation points.
Thank you.
Yay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Eric.
Welcome.
So Onward, I give this a dine-in. And
Oh,
I
okay.
have to admit, I had to wait till the end credits were complete before I wanted to leave the theater.
I did too. I was the last one to leave.
Because you were in tears?
I
Yes.
was in tears.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
It
Wow,
had me-
this movie is
was
really
like-
emotional.
Yes,
And I was like-
surprisingly.
Okay, so I from the trailers,
Yes.
and because it doesn't really talk about that in the IMDb description
IMDb, yeah.
at all. IMDb. I know the quest is to bring they bring half of their father back.
Yes, correct.
And the rest of it, they have 24 hours to bring him fully back.
Correct.
Or else he's lost forever.
Yeah, well, he dies, right? In the story, he dies, and so it's a
So that whole sequence with itself is the emotional part of this film. Is the fact that their father had passed away.
There's more to it than that,
Yeah.
though. It's also the film about brothers and
Yeah.
the relationship of brothers, and it's very heartfelt. It's a very heartfelt
Well,
story.
and that's what I mean. It's like there is an emotional core to the story. Now, the plot workings for me were a little bit too Frozen. That's where for me I was like, this seems like Frozen for dudes. But like I said before, like that brotherly love thing that really plays off is really well done, and I think that like ultimately I would have enjoyed watching this movie in a different scenic, like I didn't need the Dungeons and Dragons thing. Does that make sense? Or do you feel like that amplified the story at all?
I love that part of it.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And so here's my admission, Dan. I wasn't going to watch this until you asked if I wanted to review it.
Why
I
not? Why not?
absolutely was not going to watch it.
It doesn't look appealing to the
It
trailers.
was no, because I watched the trailer. It's about a kid wanting to meet his dad, his dead dad, and I was like, no, I know what this is gonna be. He's not, no. And
It's a story about a
personally, and I
puppy.
think it's gonna. I think with coronavirus, it's not gonna do it any favors, but I think it's gonna polarize half of the movie-going audience of that have lost parents.
Right. Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to watch that. I've talked to a couple
Maybe
of
it's a
people.
good thing that I didn't see this.
Yeah,
I feel like I'd be an emotional
No,
mess.
you would be a mess. I think that, honestly, in thinking about this movie, I thought that more about you, and I was like, Dan would be like destroyed watching this movie. Like, it's beautiful, but it would destroy you at the very end.
I had friends, I had two people close to me yesterday saying, I know why you don't want to watch it. You should still watch it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to repeat that. So anyone who I've lost both parents. I did not want to see this at all.
Oh, Vasthi, I'm sorry.
It was gorgeous. It was well done. I do see some of the points that he's talking about. However, for me,
But it's forgiven. You're able to forgive it.
It wasn't enough to distract me from where the story was going. I still say see it. The only reason I gave it a takeout is because
You have the comfort of your own home to cry like a baby.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But this is one of those you have to kind of give a heads up to some of your friends.
Yeah.
It was. I felt like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator 2. I was like, what is this coming out to?
So, Mike, not that you have an emotional range of a crab or anything, because I know you've cried in film.
Of a crab? Is that what you compared him to?
but this movie did reach you in a deeper level, and I know that.
So,
well, go on.
Yeah. So my father actually passed away last year in January, and
Our condolences again.
And it's interesting because like me and my older brother went on a road trip. And it's so,
yeah, I know that's
and it's funny because it I was like it was like repeating like similar like brotherly bonding. I was like, wow, they wrote a movie about my life.
That's funny.
Except I'm not a wizard.
you are with the tech.
And there was this strange satisfaction where like I was as satisfied as seeing like a very small like art house film. I felt like there was this element to it that felt very personal, but even though it was such a large film, but the topic was very universal as well, So I thought it was very well done and well balanced. I enjoyed everything. I enjoyed the humor and just like you guys,
and all the movie references. I loved every
that's-
reference.
Yes.
They do movie references.
No.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, See, I think for me there was a couple of things that didn't work for me. One being the Dungeons and Dragons thing. The other thing being like,
but what they're using? Is it because you're not a Dungeons and Dragons fan?
No,
or is it
no,
just
no,
the way
no.
that they utilize it? They didn't utilize it the best it could have.
I think that they leaned a little too hard on that, and they didn't need to because the emotional center to the story was way more interesting to me than the Dungeons and Dragons stuff. I think that it almost feels like they're catering to the now modernized Dungeons and Dragons crowd, and that
5e basically.
Yeah, and that for me just felt a little bit like, okay, but you could also just like the concept alone is interesting.
I don't know. I feel like that itself because I am like a huge D&D fan, and I've also lost my father. I feel like this movie was like almost catered to me now.
Yes,
but
yeah.
I'm kind of happy I didn't see it at the moment because I feel like it would
would
a mess.
It would mess you up. But the thing that I didn't really like about it was the fact that it leaned a little too heavy on our media, and you got songs that were from like our universe, and you got the references from the movies, and I just was like, okay, I get that Chris Pratt's in this movie, but you don't have to make everything Guardians of the Galaxy that he's in, and that's for me where I was like, it kept pulling me out of the movie, and all these little segments just kept pulling me out. Luckily, again, once again, the emotional landing of a Pixar film still sticks it, and that's why you're gonna watch this movie. But those little elements distract the adults in the audience. At least for me, anyways, it distracted me because I was just like, I don't need that. I want to see where these two brothers end up.
Well, question. So, Pixar is very well known for obviously going there emotionally, like with Up, with Toy Story 3. Even with other films, do you feel like this use of this film is meant more for adults than it is for the kids because they don't realize what's going on?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Without a doubt. Like, that's why you would lean hard on like all the 80s rock stuff that this movie plays off of, which, by the way, there's a lawsuit in hand because they apparently they stole the van from somebody. Pixar did.
Oops.
Yep. But yeah, like I think that it's
money.
Yeah, just give her all the money. You guys clearly stole the damn thing. But like, yeah, I think it leans heavily on the 80s crowd, the fans who are fans of the 80s, like the heavy metal fans, the Dungeons and Dragons fans. It's all leaning heavily for adults. I don't think in this movie there were a couple of kids in the theater, but they were bored. That's what I saw. So I don't know, have you guys had any kids in your theaters?
I did, but I wasn't paying attention to them. Like I could have been the only one in the theater. I would have been.
Speaking of which, because he talked about how his theater was like half empty. How was your theater experience watching this film? Was it?
If you could see through the tears in your eyes.
My theater was packed.
Oh, okay.
It was like super packed.
When did you see it?
And this morning.
Okay.
And it was like, and the theater, the crowd was like super vocal.
Waited till last minute, like
the theater was like super vocal, and they were like clapping and cheering during scenes.
Where
I
did you
was
see
like,
it
this
again?
is great. AMC Montebello, AMC Montebello.
Okay.
Well, I learned the hard way. Don't make a left right on a red light.
Did you get a ticket?
Wow.
If you do it in the city of Montebello, it costs like $500.
Oh,
I'm just letting you know.
Wait. So repeat
Did you get a
again.
ticket?
I did.
Can you repeat again the instructions?
Don't make a left-handed turn in the red in Montebello. Otherwise, it'll cost you $500. So just letting you know.
Okay, good to know. All right, keep that in mind.
Yeah, so, but yeah, the theater was like super packed, and it was the crowd was like super vocal, and at the end of it, like half the crowd was like clapping and cheering. I was like, it was a fantastic theater experience, which I think was a part of like the dine-in for me as well. Like it was fun to watch it with so many people.
Okay, right on.
My theater was typical of a matinee. I usually go to the AMC Universal City Walk, and
nice.
so it wasn't any different than an 11
Vasthi,
a.m.
do you have A-list?
Yes, I do. I love it.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. What's to say? Like that's
I love it. Best $23 I spend every month.
Not that we're endorsing it, but it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Give them free stuff.
Yeah, I do love going to that theater because especially like I love using the IMAX or the it's great.
Yeah, I was gonna say that theater's expensive, so you better have used the A+ card.
Oh, yeah.
Just once.
Yeah,
it pays for itself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, amen. Exactly.
Yep.
But yeah, it wasn't any different.
You didn't get an impact.
I didn't. No, not from Corona. It was just because it's Sunday morning. So.
No, I want to know though. So you guys have briefly talked about the film style and how it was made, but the stars behind these films are two stars that are really endowed in the Disney universe. Tom Holland and Chris Pratt. How did they handle
I thought it was
voice
perfect.
acting for this film.
I thought it was perfectly cast. To me, their voices aren't so recognizable that it distracted me.
Did Tom Holland have a British accent? Or
No. He was.
He Americanized it.
Yeah.
So he did. So it's like Peter Parker.
And that for me. See, I'm glad Vasthi didn't get that, but I totally did, and I think that for me.
Is it because you're a huge Marvel nerd as well?
I am too. Yeah. No, I was able to just separate myself. The one I thought would be a little more problematic for me was Chris Pratt.
But he just sounded like Parks and Recreation Chris Pratt. So like that's.
But it was fun, and it worked with the character. Yes. I thought it was perfectly cast.
Yeah, I think that Chris Pratt worked it really well because Chris Pratt, when he's fat Chris Pratt, he's the funniest Chris Pratt. And because Parks and Recreation. But I think that Tom Holland for me was the not the strongest voice actor for it because I couldn't believe a word about him being socially anxious. We've all seen how much of a social butterfly he is in real life, and it's just for me I was like, yeah, I'm not 100% like buying this. Maybe he just needed a little bit, just the beginning portion. During the movie itself, he was fine. It was great. But in that beginning portion where he's like this socially awkward kid, I couldn't buy into it. Mike, I don't know. Did you get a problem with that?
No, I had no problems with it. I believed everything everybody was saying.
Well,
all
that
the
sounds
time.
like Mike to you. Yeah, that sounds like Mike.
Yeah,
in general.
No question. I do have a. Sorry, Mike, to interrupt.
It's okay.
Does anyone here play Dungeons and Dragons?
No,
I know of it.
I don't play it, but I do.
I wasn't bothered by it. Even though I'm not a fan of it, I wasn't like, oh, this isn't relatable to me. I felt you could plug in whatever fandom, someone that is obsessed with something.
Yeah.
Which all of us here are.
Yeah. It just.
What I liked was that in this world, in the Onward world, it's based on reality.
It's history.
So it's history.
Yeah.
Wait, what does that mean?
So what I mean by that is the Dungeons and Dragons game is based on things that happened in the real world in Onward.
So it's like if we were to do Risk.
I was gonna say, what game would this be more associated with in our lives? Because Risk is different.
Monopoly?
Yeah,
that ends friendships,
or begins them.
But yeah, it's based on their reality, and so of course he's got all these cards, and he's he knows all these spells.
Wait, when you say who?
Talking about
the brother,
Bailey,
Chris Pratt character.
Tom Holland or
Chris Pratt character.
Chris Pratt's the older brother.
Barley.
Barley. Thank you. Yeah, he's a hardcore D&D fan. As you see, is it called D&D? I don't know. No.
It's differently in the.
But it's very. It's obviously like they talk about campaigns and things like that. It's very obviously.
You see the cards, you see the boards and the pieces.
Yeah, it's D&D. You don't need to even say it. But
cards? Is it like Magic the Gathering? Because that's for nerds. No.
Well, see, and it does actually kind of move around between these different universes of Dungeons and Dragons games, or rather fantasy role-playing games. Because there's cards, and he's got a book with spells in it. But they're really, really stupid looking spells, and I wish there was a digital copy so I can look at them because it looks really stupid. And that's where Tom Holland's character starts learning all the spells, is because the brother has those books.
Yeah, so the brothers, the older brother is deep into it, and so when they start discovering the magic that exists, the brother becomes goes into this trainer role. And because he's so hardcore in the game, he knows everything about it. He knows all the cards.
But according to the trailer, from what I can see, is Tom Holland's character, right? Is the one that's
he's the wizard. Yeah, he's the real wizard. So the brother.
So does that create friction between the brothers?
It doesn't in the way that you wished it did. Because there's a better story.
So there's no jealousy there, really.
That's what I was gonna say. There's a better story to be told about the jealousy, but they don't do that. They instead deal with brotherly mechanics, which is you now have a brother who knows more than the other brother, and they're annoying the shit out of each other. And I like that. I like that a lot, because that's literally how me and my brother usually work out, right? Whereas he knows something more than I do, and instead of him telling me how to do it in a very assertive way, he's got to be a dick about it. And I think Barley was a dick about it a lot of times.
Are you mad because he just reminded you of your older brother? Is that why you disliked it so much?
No, I didn't dislike this movie. I liked this movie. I just feel like it leaned too heavily on the D&D, and that's what took away from it.
Well, speaking of which, though, I'm going to interrupt you there because you talked about how you did like it, and all three of you really liked this film.
Yeah.
Now, Pixar for itself is really known for making family films, and they say family films because the whole family can enjoy it. Adults, children, and grandparents, everyone in between. But this film, which is the most recent one, how does it rank with the other Pixar films that come out? Is it like Good Dinosaur, bad type?
That was bad.
Or is it like Toy Story 3, somewhere in the middle? Where would you rank this in all the films that Pixar has put out?
So we're going to scale these out, right? So if one was the worst, was it Dinosaur? Which one was it called again?
The Good Dinosaur.
The Good Dinosaur. Which
Actually,
Any other
Cars 1?
Cars 3. Cars 2, sorry.
Cars 2, yeah. Cars 2.
Or
All of
Fire and Rescue, whatever.
And then, yeah. And then you have 10, which is like Toy Story, Up, and all those amazing... Finding Nemo. Okay. I would rank this somewhere like at a 6. 6 or 7.
Vasthi?
Yeah, okay.
High middle. So yeah, I'd say 7.
7 for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, like a 7 or 8. It's a good cry.
I mean, it's really hard because there are a lot of great Pixar films, so it's really hard to...
Actually, in that, you know what? Scratch that. I'll say like a 9 or 10.
Oh, really?
Whoa!
Yeah. Okay.
Mike's all in.
I'm going all in.
The reason I get that, the reason I'm not saying 8, 9, or 10 is because rewatchability
I was
for
going to say
me.
that, yeah.
As much as it made me, I don't see this being my go-to as much
Agreed.
as some of the ones but it's still really good, you know?
Yeah.
Same way I don't watch Coco all the time.
Right.
And it's a little too close to home.
Yeah.
I don't rewatch it as much as...
But see, I would rewatch Coco repeatedly over this one. Like if I were to compare this one versus Coco, which one would I choose to watch at least once a year?
That is different in the sense that you are more relatable towards Coco because of that film than you would Dungeons and Dragons and other stuff.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. It was just not made.
This is
for
a personal
me.
preference, I believe.
I'm not like I know very, very little about Dungeons and Dragons, but I enjoyed how they.
Mike, we should play.
We should all play.
That'd be
Hey! I've said let's do this. Let's do a Dungeons and Dragons.
No,
we can stream it. We can stream it live.
Sure, yeah, that sounds. I have no idea. You guys will have to.
I'll be the dungeon master.
It'll be 6-hour recording of us.
Would you be down, Vasthi, to play?
I'm down to learn.
All right.
All right.
Let's do
You
it.
heard it here first. Exclusive Dungeons and
Bring your
Dragons.
D9s with you.
Actually, I've never been
D20s.
asked.
D20s.
I think people assume I don't like it. I've just never
You're a
been asked,
nerd. Don't worry.
and I've never attempted. So sure, why not? I am fascinated that we
You
have
could
the
cosplay.
Done.
There you go.
Cosplay as your character of.
That's what you should have led with.
We happen to have a board right here.
I am fascinated that we essentially on paper ended up with the exact same review for completely different reasons.
Yeah. We call that a reroll.
So we canceled
That's called a critical hit. But no, that's amazing. All right, so Mike, you were talking about though. You're not a huge Dungeons and Dragons fans,
but like I did enjoy how they incorporated into that world, and it was just fun to see the connection. I think for me. And then also, Vasthi, you had mentioned there were great movie references that you really liked. What was your favorite one in particular?
Should you guys talk about that? I haven't seen the film, so is it something?
would it be
Is it something that
spoilers?
I would enjoy
No,
watching?
I think
or
my
is-
description would be vague enough where if you see it, you're like, oh yeah. And if you don't, it's still enjoyable. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yep.
Last Crusade.
Yep.
Jurassic
Oh
Park.
my god, that's like all your films.
Yes, exactly.
It's like wow, that's so you.
I recognized them right away, and I loved it. It didn't take me out or distract me at all. I thought it was an awesome little wink or a nod to the fans out there, and I appreciated it. Where sometimes it is a little risky to do that, where you're just copying it. It felt like an homage to me, so it didn't bother me at all.
And like I don't know if it kind of there were moments of like Weekend at Bernie's to me. I don't know.
Yep.
Yes, yes.
There was
Oh,
definitely-
because it's half the
Yep.
father, right?
Yes.
The feet,
Yeah,
the legs.
the legs. Yeah, that was definitely on the nose. Weekend and Bernie's, just like all the pantomime like movements of the top side of the head.
And also, now that we're on the subject, I did just tell Christina today I am gonna see it again, just because there were a lot of things I know I missed.
Yeah.
Little Easter eggs like that.
Yeah, and I saw that Christina loved it as well. Too bad she didn't come on the show and support Christina. I'm just kidding. So this director also did Monsters University and
which is on the low rankings.
Which is on the lower ranking
Yeah.
films. And he did back in like the late 1990s and early 2000s. He did like the sequels to Pocahontas, The Little Mermaid.
Yep.
Ooh, I didn't like that one.
The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2, 101 Dalmatians 2, Tarzan 2. It's like all these really
well,
bad
this
films.
one's his best one.
I was about
so true.
to ask is like, did you see any of those like bad filmmaking aspects of this person from the previous films into this one? Did you see anything different?
I didn't. I'm actually surprised that he was linked to some of the ones that I have watched. Some of the ones that you've mentioned. No, I don't see a link at all.
I think it was before Bob Iger was CEO of Disney. There was, I forgot, Eisner.
Yes.
Where he was just making sequels to everything.
Right.
Yep.
Lion King 2.5 or 1.5 or whatever.
Hey, that one was fun. That one was fun.
But yeah, I remember that. So
Aladdin 2 and 3 were also really good.
Bambi 2 too.
Just saying, some of them were actually. Listen,
but not this guy. He never worked on.
They're doing a sequel to Aladdin. We're completely off topic. They're doing a sequel to Aladdin, but they're not adapting Aladdin 2. What in the hell is wrong with you guys? That was one of the best ones.
No, it's not a sequel to Aladdin. I think it's a prequel.
No,
I think it was a prequel.
They're talking about a different one. They're talking about Beauty and the Beast prequel.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but anyways, the point is, those are some great movies that whatever. Okay, sorry,
Prince of
moving on.
Thieves.
Prince of Thieves was great. The Return of Jafar was part 2. Prince of Thieves was 3. It's like, come on, make those ones. Those were really fun.
Yeah.
Not the point. The point being, what can you see bad?
Moving forward.
Bad.
Yeah. Do you see any like hiccups or signs?
Not compared to the ones you've listed.
Yeah.
Like,
That's good.
I don't.
Because Monster University was not that long ago. It was like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And it wasn't bad. I was forgettable. And for me, this one's not forgettable.
Yeah,
at all.
It was lazy, is what it was. Yeah, and I think that this
Monster
one-
University. You're talking about.
Monster University.
Oh, I was like,
Oh no, Monsters.
I saw your reaction. I was like, okay, let me clear this up.
Sorry, Monsters Inc. was fantastic. Monsters University was pretty lazy. No, I think that because this director is, I mean, it's an art department, right? So like you have multiple directors, regardless, working on this film. But I think overall, thematically, this movie it doesn't show all the cracks from the ones that you talked about. But I think there's still a lot to be learned. I think that this director needs to learn a lot from the guy who did Toy Story, like the originals, not the sequels.
Lasseter? Because Lasseter is a creep.
No, agreed. And listen, this brings on a whole different discussion of a creep could still make really good films. And sadly, this movie wasn't on the level of Toy Story, but. It could have helped a little bit. And you're right. This is the first movie without John Lasseter in the art director's position.
So, totally changing subjects. Do you feel as this film would have worked in any other genres besides Dungeons and Dragons? Or do you feel like really the fantasy aspect really helped it? Like, for example, if it was to be like, in the Toy Story universe world where it was all toys and stuff, or if it was in Under the Sea and Finding Nemo, or even in the future with WALL-E, do you feel like this itself, because Pixar has a tendency of putting their films in certain like genres, and you don't see a lot of fantasy that much anymore since like The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings. Do you feel like fantasy really helped accentuate the story so much, or do you think it could have been set in any type of universe?
I like that it was fantasy. It just, I mean, I think it might have worked if they were going off of a novel as a guide.
Yeah.
But I like that they hit on they targeted in on an audience, on a specific niche, and I think, and Mike and I aren't D&D fans, and we loved it. I didn't see it as problematic. I think it could have worked.
I think it could have worked anywhere. Yeah.
I think it had to be the fantasy. Well, like if that was changed, like it would have to be. It wouldn't be like D&D cards. It would have to be something else that matched with that world because it's a one of the driving forces in the plot.
Mm-hmm.
It is. But I think that this movie could have easily been. I mean, had you a live action version of this film, I think it would have still worked really well. and I think I may have probably preferred something like that than this. I think that this movie, again, at its core, it's an emotional drama about brothers and parents who have passed away, and you can make a movie about that in any genre. I would have much preferred watching it in another genre than it leaning so heavily on this version of it.
And the more that you think about it, with the nerddom, there's a critique about that culture in the film that I thought hit the criticism from people that aren't like that aren't into nerd fandoms, that I kind of appreciated.
Yeah, right. Like a big stereotype about D&D is like, oh, you play in your mom's basement and you don't.
That was
you
still
don't
in there.
socialize.
That was still in there.
Oh, it was? Okay. Which I'm like, I socialize. I play D&D.
Yeah.
I have a group. I'm in the campaign right now. And I'm cool, right?
Yeah.
I think you're
Silence.
cool.
Thanks.
I think you're cool.
Thanks, Vasthi. Vasthi thinks I'm cool. So let's go ahead. Any other things that stood out to you that you want to talk about? I know, like, Julia Louis-Dreyfus is in this film, as well as Octavia Spencer, as well as Mel Rodriguez. How did they turn out? How did the whole voice cast overall work?
I liked all of the other voice act. The only person for me was Peter Parker, who didn't work at all for me. Tom Holland. But Julie
Louis-Dreyfus?
Thank you. I always mess up her name.
Julie Louis-Dreyfus?
Louis-Dreyfus, yeah. She was fantastic. I didn't even know it was her. Octavia Spencer, I didn't even know that it was her, and I was really happy to see that it was her. So I think that they were fantastic as voice actors. And even at that, Gonzalez, I think Rodriguez, yeah, sorry, I closed my window down.
No, Rodriguez.
He was, I thought he was great too. I think all the other supporting cast were all fantastic, and I couldn't even tell who they were. Tom Holland, though, you can easily tell who, and so, of course, Chris Pratt as well. So, but yeah,
they're the stars of the whole thing, so of course they're going to be bigger names than the rest of the side characters.
I don't know. I feel like I would prefer to for the Tom Holland role, somebody else. But that's just me.
Who would you have preferred?
Who would you?
Like honestly, like anybody else. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I just watch.
I have a question afterwards.
Okay.
Continue.
Yeah, I just finished watching a TV show on Netflix called "I'm Not Okay with This," and it's the actor who played Stanley from It. I think that he would have been a much better because you don't know him, but he's definitely clearly a nerd, and it would have worked well.
Now, do you feel though that this film would be totally different if instead of it being a brother-brother story, if it was like a brother-sister story, a sister-sister story? Do you think it had to have been brothers in this situation?
I feel
off the top of my head, I do. I think it could have worked either way. I
think it could have worked.
Yeah, it could have worked with the mixed sibling dynamic. I don't have siblings, and it still really touched me. So it's not necessarily.
It sounds like you're bragging, Vasthi. I'm just kidding.
No, it was actually a really lonely way to grow up.
That's a weird flex.
Until you found us, and then you found your family.
Yay. Chosen family.
Yes, chosen family. Even though we didn't go to high school, we always treat you like you went to high school together.
It's true. I'm still waiting for my photoshopped yearbook photo.
on its way.
But yeah, going back to your question, I think it could have worked, but I think it still works as the way they did it.
Yeah. Mike?
I think it had to be brothers. And I think because like
that's sexist, Mike. I'm just kidding. Go on.
And I know Z had mentioned like a reference to like the male version of Frozen, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it is like it's a very specific type of family dynamic of like brothers and without going into too much of it, it has to do with like father. I'm doing the best I can to not ruin it, or to not spoil anything. But I think
try harder, Mike. Don't spoil it for me, damn it.
No, the dynamic is very important. That it had to be brothers. So in order for it, for me specifically, I felt like for it to have affected me as much as it did.
I'll revise my answer. It had to be one combination of if it was a brother sister. It had to be a specific combination.
Interesting.
Like
Yeah,
you couldn't flip.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what Vasthi means. Yeah, yes.
Well, that's good. One of us does.
Well, you're right. You're right. I would totally agree with you there, Vasthi. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if Tom Holland's character was a girl, I think it would have been fine. I think that you could have easily swapped that out. And you would have still needed the core the Chris Pratt character to be the one who's like the sage, person who's giving the other. But I think it would still work.
I think Chris Pratt's character could have also easily been played by Jack Black.
Also agree.
Yes. I do agree.
It's a shame he quit acting, but yeah.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he's retired from acting. I think he said
okay.
after the last
It was
Jungle Book or whatever the hell it's called.
Jurassic
Jumanji.
Park.
Jumanji. There you go. It starts with a J.
It was based. It reminded me of like I can't believe I forgot the name.
School of Rock.
School of
Rock.
Thank you so much, Vasthi. Yeah, School of Rock.
I
It was
agree with
very,
that.
very
Yeah,
much
yeah.
School of Rock.
Vasthi is such a movie nerd as well. Like I knew you would know the answer. I have a question now. So we know Disney itself is like almost a monopoly, but in the best type of sense because they own Marvel, they own Star Wars, they own Pixar. Do you see them now owning D&D versions moving forward? Are we going to have the Disney princesses and Prince and other Pixar characters in the D&D world moving forward?
No. Just no. That's not going to happen. Come on.
Would you like to see that happen, I should say?
No, not really.
Do you care if that happens?
There's more in that world. I think it could happen. It could be built.
Okay, this is not. Don't answer.
It's a rhetorical
for sure.
question.
Yeah. No. Don't answer for sure that's going to happen. But would you like to see a sequel to this film?
So you don't want us to answer this?
No. Don't answer. There's gonna be a sequel because I don't want to know what happens at the end. I just want to say, would you want to see a sequel to this film?
Like to explore the universe a little more?
Right.
No.
Maybe. I'm open. It's possible.
I wouldn't want it just because
It's one and done good.
Yeah.
I felt it was the story was told. I won't be surprised, I guess, because just they manage to do
it's
sequels and prequels and whatever, and
Right.
some of them I do like.
we didn't want Frozen 2, and I feel like this. If you were to make a sequel, it would become like a Frozen 2.
Well,
I don't know about.
Frozen 2 didn't do so well.
Yeah, that's my point.
I don't know about that. Like one exception is Toy Story 2. That's my all-time favorite
Sure.
of the four.
There you go, referring to
Things
that creep
I
again.
didn't know. Stories I didn't know could be told well. I'm not a writer. I don't know what they could pull out from this. It's possible. But I was, after each Toy Story, I was like, all right, that's it. So I've been wrong 4 times. So I say no, but if it happens, I'm
be
also
there.
open to it, like Mike says.
Yeah.
This world, like there's a lot more in this world that can exist that I think they could milk from it. Just that idea. Of,
Is that good though? Milking it for all it's worth?
You guys
It just depends on who writes it.
Sorry, can I interrupt now? I'm so sorry, but you just reminded me. If they do, this is a Shrek scenario.
I don't
How so?
Because Shrek did the exact same thing. Shrek rewrote the fantasy world. And I think that if they we're looking at... I mean, we're not looking at a Shrek 4. I feel like Shrek 4 was its standalone victim of its own crime. But I feel like if they were to really try to develop this world, let a little bit more out, it'd end up like the Shrek universe.
Oof, it was a downward spiral from there.
I think it just, to me, it just depends on writing. That's it.
Yeah, because I liked Incredibles too.
Yeah, Incredibles
and that's
was
a
good.
whole universe in itself.
But
They have their own roller coaster at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Or California Adventure, I should say.
I would say it's a gamble because, like Monsters University, they're
Yeah.
Cars 2.
Cars 2.
but they're for every Cars 2, every Monsters University.
There's
There's
Toy
also
Story.
a Toy Story
Story
2 or a
Incredibles
Finding
2,
Dory.
Finding Dory.
Yeah.
So it's a gamble. It would be a gamble.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts before I give my rating?
Personally, I say if you don't want to see this for the reasons that I myself, when I saw the the trailer. I'm like, I am absolutely not going to see it. It's beautiful. It's emotionally heartwarming enough to go on this journey, this emotional journey. It's emotional. Most likely will cry. But it's beautifully told, and I say see it, whether it's in the theater or in the comfort of your own home.
Z?
I would say that this movie, while it does have its emotional center in its right place, like, you know that there's a reason why this movie was made. I think that those elements that I was talking about, the fantasy elements that it leans a little too heavily on, push you out of the story enough that it kind of really forces you to really have to engage. But when those emotional moments happen, that's what makes this movie stand out. And I think that, if anything, go watch this movie for that reason, but you can wait to watch it at home. The trailer kind of tells you what to expect, and there's a level of blandness in that I think that this movie fails to overcome through its narrative. And I think that's the only reason why you wouldn't want to watch it in theaters. And so watch it at home.
Mike?
I'm curious. I saw this in 2D. I'm curious to see what it would be like to see in 3D.
Anyone else see it in 3D?
No, I saw it in 2D.
So yeah, I
was it offered in 3D?
It is.
It was offered. I get motion sick, so that's why I didn't watch it. But I could see how it didn't feel as blatant as some of the 3D,
right?
We're like
in your face. Yeah,
I'm like, okay, that would have been 3D. Yeah. It didn't feel like that at all. So actually, thanks, Mike. I might rewatch it in 3D. Take some Dramamine.
Don't fall asleep in the theater though. The first 5 minutes.
Just watching the movie like all drooling.
It's all right. You won't be missing much. It'll be the Simpsons thing you miss.
That's right. The intro. So definitely
the first film.
Definitely get there on time to see the short film in the beginning, which is The Simpsons. We didn't talk.
Is
about
The Simpsons? It really is The Simpsons.
It's The Simpsons.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And
don't say much more because then I.
Did you watch the previously Oscar animated short film about Maggie Simpson? It was a couple years ago.
No, I didn't.
It was called. It was her in daycare. I'm gonna have to write back what the title of it. It was Oscar nominated.
Was it the one where it was like
Yes.
a Fight Club version of that? Or am I thinking about the wrong one? Okay, all right.
It was basically along the same vein of that.
Okay.
It was well done. I liked it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I have to check it out.
Yeah, I gotta watch that too. But yeah, I definitely recommend to see this in theaters and take tissue, and also like you may have to stay till the end credits, till the lights go on.
I did.
Just letting you know.
Okay, so I think I've heard enough. Again, I did not see this film, and it's funny because I chose not to watch this film because the trailer itself, for me, looked like this film was going to be a miss. It looked more on the end that would be similar to like The Good Dinosaur or to like Cars 2, Search and Rescue or Rescue Planes or plane
whatever
that mess was. But from hearing you guys' perspective, it does seem like it's worth watching. I think I'm definitely gonna go watch it in theaters. So even though I know I'm probably gonna be an emotional wreck after watching this, because it's so funny because I knew the story of the fact that the father was like passed away and they were able to bring him back, but for me it just seemed like it was stupid or silly. And now that there is some clout behind it with you guys' reviews, I'm interested, but I'm also like scared to watch it because I know I'm gonna be a mess.
Yeah,
but
I think it's better to have a heads up than to just be like
blindsided. I think so. So that's good. I'm kind of. I will say I am happy that I'm getting it from you guys as opposed to like walking in blind.
Right.
Especially walking in blind with low expectations.
Right.
And then watching it and being like, what did I just watch? So for like at least my mental health, that's good. So sorry that you guys had to suffer. It was
not suffering. No, allowing yourself to feel whatever you feel is valid and
it's healthy.
It's healthy.
So I'm gonna go with dine in, watch it in theaters.
All right.
And I am a 3D fan, so I might go watch it in 3D. Because I watch everything 3D. I'm glutted for punishment, I guess. We'll go ahead and go with dine in, watch it in theaters for Onward, Pixar's Onward, which is a surprise to me because I would never have thought to give that even
a second thought.
I was expecting nothing but leftovers. And then I did see some social media stuff from people saying that they loved it, and I was like, like I can no longer trust this person.
Was it Mike?
Probably was. You never trusted me, so it doesn't matter.
No. You're giving Mike more credit than he deserves. Even though I went with his rating today.
Yeah, you did.
But no, so thank you so much, Vasthi, for being on the show. Is there anything you want to plug, promote? Any exciting adventures you're going to go on next? You're our world traveler here.
I'm just gonna explore East LA next month on the inaugural LA half marathon.
So
I'm excited.
East LA. If you guys don't know, we are in East LA. So.
Yes.
Yeah, so at East LA Traveler on Instagram, all one word.
So check her out on Instagram. Thank you so much, Z, as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike, for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Dan.
And I'm Dan the Man Muñoz, host of Movie Minute Reviews. So again, we give Pixar's Onward a dine-in, watch it in theaters, and bring tissues. If you agree, let us know what you think of the film. You can let us know in our comments below here in the video, or message us on Instagram, on Twitter. Let us know what you thought of the film. And you could follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Subscribe to us, rate and review. Check out our website at moviemaniapodcast.com. Our new videos are there, as well as reviews. You can go watch our previous stuff that we put out as well. So make sure to check out our website. Until next time, thank you so much. You could find us on Facebook Live like you are watching us, or if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, we say thank you. And until next time, we say goodbye. See ya.
See you later.
2, 3, 4.